Hello. Invite to my friend real quick. I'm starting a few minutes early because why not, right? Oh, well, social media. Twitter and Facebook both have to be blue. I'm hoping people I invite from Twitter will come and visit. And since I'm starting early, I'm going to give everybody a few minutes. Okay. Hi, Don. How are you? And hey, Dave Myers. How are you doing, darling? And all the Oklahomans will pop in here as well. I start a few minutes early, but nice with Lord. I decided to cover the couch a little better so it isn't quite so bad. Because it looks like a grandma's curtains. Oh, Dave Myers, by the way, I texted those people. I'm still waiting for them to text back about the wheelchair. I'm getting kind of annoyed about that. So, I'm down on pipe deck. So today was kind of a weird day. Well, it's not weird, it's more depressing. Those of y'all saw live stream, right? You can hear what some of the people who work in the Capitol think of our government. One guy, I think he's part of the Senate, or he's maybe a representative. I don't quite know. I'd have to dig him up first and find his card. But yeah, he basically described our governor as a narcissist, and I think he made him mention psychopath. Yikes. I mean, you might have messed up a little bit if your coworkers think that of you. Hey, Dark Asher. Yeah, yeah, I don't live stream, but happy holidays. Oh crap, is it almost, it is almost Thanksgiving. We are not prepared for that. It's a, yeah, decent amount of retweets for that. That's pretty cool. Hey, Jedi Dad, how are you, darling? It's good seeing you too. Thursday. It's supposed to be braided, but it's kind of like a mess. So. Aw, Belle, you're a sweetheart. I'm wondering if, like, instead of doing this, maybe I should make a video or something and just posted that on Twitter for people to see. Hey, Multi-Gun, how are you doing, darling? Yeah, I probably would have actually got seen more had I done so. But I was wanting people like, Oklahoma to have a shake and chime in. Hey, Insanity. Welcome. It may take a while for people on Twitter to see it. Well, I suppose I can say it, like, say stuff I want to say and just post it, like, and tag them in it later, I guess. But, I don't know. Oh, you have so much to say, and now that it's like time to say it, like, but it's like Capitol today, and somebody else saw I was live streaming, and man, it's a mess, all a mess. Now, normally, like starting off, like I guess starting off with what the thing at the Capitol was about. Hey, Brickhouse. Is that tomorrow, I believe, they're planning on executing a man. And Oklahoma's methods of execution are very questionable. And in fact, I looked it up, it would be breaking international laws and treaties because there is actually international laws about torture mentally and physically. And it's specifically directed at elected officials, in fact, that either do it or allow it to happen. It was like a screen share it showed to y'all. Give me a second to pull it up. I don't remember it. Just let me go to. Alright. So. Oh, that's the wrong thing altogether anyway. Hold on. Alright. Alright, well, okay. Make this a little bigger so y'all can see it correctly. So, alright. Share. Your screen. You should be able to see it. Nope. So, this is that. Prohibition of torture and other forms of ill treatment in international treaties. And I do believe that we are subjected to these same rules. Or held to these same rules. Not subjected to it, but held to the same. Maybe y'all can't agree with that, but the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. For those of you who don't know, Oklahoma has the highest incarceration rate in the nation. Some say the highest incarceration rate in the world, but I have not checked that far into the statistics. But the fact that we lead the nation in incarcerated individuals, and the stories I have heard of some of these incarcerated individuals. Tell me. Well, holy shit. All persons deprived of liberty, which I'm assuming means incarcerated, shall be treated with humanity and with respect for the inherent dignity of the human person. And that's not what's been going on in Oklahoma. A lot of things have been going on in Oklahoma are not only unconstitutional, but they're internationally illegal. Now, granted, I do not like the idea that someone from out of the country would have to basically come and sort us out. Stop share. No good Chinese food in Oklahoma. I'm not sure where that comes from, but I'll take your word for it. Anyway, how are you doing, David Melbourne? And also, we had the issue of the other people who are running for governor. And, well, Kevin Stitt, I think I'm not sure if this is campaign. I'm not sure what he's doing. It looks like he's doing something between campaigning and literally just setting the house on fire in case it gets kicked out. It's a weird combo. I've never quite seen anything like it. But, there's a lot of people who are unhappy with Stitt. Even the Republicans, even his own party. There's a lot of people in his own party who do not want him in there anymore. And there's some voters who think Governor Stitt's done a great job. But the thing is, what they don't realize is that a lot of the things he has done is because of representatives and such that are behind him, pushing him, piling signatures on his desk to get him to do stuff. Otherwise, he pretty much stays still and stagnant and does nothing until he is absolutely pushed into it. He is not a man of action. He appears that way because a lot of people don't know that behind the scenes, you got like the House, Senate, all that, badgering him constantly to make some kind of decision on something. The thing is, some of these voters don't realize that's what he's doing. I've had the opportunity to sort of see behind the scenes on a few things. Because your title is things you need to express about Oklahoma. So I need to add, oh, okay. Alright, I got you. It threw me off because I meant like politically, but I did not technically say that. So it kind of threw me off. I was like, what? We pretty much had to settle for Panda Express. It does taste good. So we'll just have to take that for now. Well, I don't know, actually. You're in your 23rd in class and has, I'm assuming, some decent stuff. But anyway, food aside, because you're gonna make me hungry. I don't know if some of y'all, this is gonna be for people who see this later. And I hate to dash people's hopes and dreams, I do. But a lot of people are excited that Joy Huffmeister has joined the race, but unfortunately, I don't think she's what she appears to be. She claims she changed from Republican to Democrat because she doesn't like Governor Stitt's policies. You don't have to change parties to do that. You don't. I even overheard a conversation that connects to that situation, and it was back in September, long before anyone knew she was going to change parties or run. I just didn't realize it correlated to her at the time. But I overheard two women speaking that are friends of the DA's office, and I heard them when I was talking to the person in front of me. The two women were to my side, and I heard them say, I don't know why she changed parties. She could have run as a Republican against him anyway. I kept that in my head because I didn't know what it related to. So then the Pardon and Parole Board, the first time, they've done this twice, but first time, they they requested clemency, which is not necessarily releasing the prisoner, but basically not to execute. And when they suggested that, now take into consideration that the Pardon and Parole Board, at least 3 of the people appointed to that board were appointed by our current governor, and yet he's ignoring the very people he appointed. Weird. So the first time they did that, the district attorney, David Prater, freaked out. And this is not something you normally would expect someone to publicly do. Like privately behind closed doors, maybe. But it was public enough to end up in a news article. The David Prater freaked the fuck out. And a week or so later, Joy Huffmeister joined the party. And I thought, I joined the Democrat Party and decided she was going to go against Stitt. Because here's the funny thing. Democrats and Republicans are both pissed off at the DA's office. We may have found some common ground, people. But the thing, and people are going to be probably very disillusioned. There are 2 Democrat candidates for governor. One is Connie Johnson, and more or less, Joy Huffmeister. The funny thing is that about a couple of weeks after Prater freaked the hell out at the idea that the Pardon and Parole Board did not want to execute. They didn't say release, they said not execute. There's a difference. He freaked out, and suddenly she joins the governor's race to go against Stitt. Because remember, I told you, Stitt doesn't do much unless he is pushed one way or the other. He seems to be incapable of making any solid decisions. He will half-ass things and basically be puppeted by whoever has the greater influence over him. Now, in Oklahoma, statistically, for governor, your best chance is being a Republican to win. Statistically. Not impossible, but the chances of the odds are better. So it seems weird that she would want to join the Democrat Party to go against it. But Connie Johnson, I do believe, wants to abolish the death penalty. Now, today, even though this has been going on, this whole mess has been going on for quite some time. Today, I do believe, she has voiced, Joy Huffmeister has voiced out against the death penalty. I feel like that should have been like one of the first things she made really noted and talked about. But whether she's against it or not, she really hasn't done much to show up to some of those events. Now, I haven't gone a whole bunch. I've gone a few times to different anti-death penalty events. But at least I bothered to try to show up. She didn't even manage that. Now, here's where I think Connie Johnson is getting cheated here. Because I think Joy Huffmeister is in there to split the vote. To make sure that Connie Johnson does not make it to the primaries. And I'll show you exactly why. Long ago, once upon a time, oh, wait. Do entire screen. Hopefully it shows. So here we go. Back in 2017, Miss Huffmeister found herself in a wee bit of trouble. And by we, I mean her and 4 other people with basically felony charges. Raising money illegally, it was campaign finance violations, and conspiracy, which you can see here at the bottom. And look, the charges dismissed. So there's some stuff. In January, she was in trouble. By August, she was out of trouble. Now, one might wonder, how did this manage to happen? Well, Apparently, it says, it is unclear it could be related to a preliminary hearing that was scheduled to begin August 16th. In the preliminary hearing, a judge determined whether there is probable cause that the defendant committed the crime and if the case should proceed. Holland's attorney, it's one of the people that was in trouble with her, said that neither he nor the other defense attorney had received any police or investigative reports from Prater's office. All they had was the same 28-page probable cause affidavit that had been released to the public when the charges were filed. Now, let me explain something about David Prater. He doesn't do anything out of the kindness of his heart, and Democrats and Republicans will both agree with me on this one. So they had to drop the charges because their case, because you kind of have to save all of them. You can't just save one of them since they were in it together. Their case went into Prater's office. Why this thing pops up, I don't know. I hate that thing so much. Sorry. But, yeah. So, I think she is doing this because she owes Prater a debt for not going to prison. And since the DA's office is quite intent on they've done a lot of scandalous shit. And if, say, Connie Johnson was to win, she could maybe expose some of the stuff they're doing because she's not towing the same line they are. And that could make a huge mess. That could bring into question so many of the cases they have prosecuted. So if you have a chance of having someone split the vote so that Connie Johnson cannot win, whether or not Joey Huffmeister becomes governor or not, most of the Republicans will stay out of his way, for the most part. Someone today told me, since he works with a lot of them, he works in the Capitol with them, that a lot of the Republicans are not happy with the way things are. They're afraid to speak out because they're afraid of being shunned by the others. So basically, it looks like some of the Republicans mean well, and they're basically, socially speaking, being held hostage. They're afraid that they may not be reelected. They're afraid that maybe the other Republicans don't think like them, and so they're afraid to speak out and say what they think of the situation. This is not a good situation at all. So people are basically, if you don't toe the line, out you go. That is why I need help with retweets, all kinds of stuff. Because I'm not rich like a lot of these people. I am going to need help. Hashtag Oklahoma, hashtag whatever. If I tweet something, I will try to remember to mention retweet so that you know that is something that specifically needs to be retweeted. If you are watching this and you live in Oklahoma, and if you really want to vote Democrat, for the love of God, please pick Connie Johnson. Holy crap. She's at least not flip-flopped and done all this and that. She at least stays true to course. At least she's consistent. Not this new one. There is too much reason to believe that she's in David Prater's pocket. If you want somebody who's in David Prater's pocket, you might as well put the DA's office in the governor's house, in the governor's office right now. You might as well just put him in there. Because it's basically exactly what you're going to get. Either things are going to stay the same or they're going to get worse. Sorry, my net's a little bit sure. Hi, I meant to lazy check my person's over. Dang, it's a nice material. Aw, thank you so much, Bone. I hope that's my new one. Oh, it says Tabby Kit Kit. Okay, that means it goes to my main account. Okay, cool. That one doesn't screw with like any finance type stuff. Yeah, because I need new tires, and I am missing a lug nut. I'm not lying. So if you actually do want to send some love that way, I super appreciate it. Because it's hard to film protests and the political goings on if I lose a wheel or have no tires. But anyway, so I feel like the Democrats in Oklahoma are getting bamboozled by Joy Huffmeister. I believe that they are. I told somebody this, and she it was very cute. She gave me this cute face. She goes, "Are you coming over to our side?" I'm like, "Not necessarily." She goes, "Then why are you trying to help?" I mean, I'm like, "Because I believe in a fair fight. I believe in a fair, you know, campaign and race. And what they're doing is trying to split the vote and take it away from a woman, Connie Johnson, who has spent her entire career staying true to, what she believes in. And a lot of people are so excited they think they have won by having Joey Huffmeister join their party. That they're so excited that they feel like, things are, the tide's changing for them. Like I said, David Prater doesn't do anything out of the kindness of his heart. And the fact that he freaked out and then like a week later, she suddenly joins the governor's race. And what people need to do is, if you want to vote Democrat, you vote for Connie Johnson. If you want Republican, please vote for me, because we want to edge out Stitt, because Stitt's just awful. And the other male Republican that wants to take his place, who is raking in money hand over fist by basically manipulating the church, for lack of a better term. Let me show you this guy. His name is Mark Sherwood. You can look him up. You will find him most likely under Dr. Mark Sherwood. He is running for governor of Oklahoma. Oh, it'd probably help if I share screen first a little bit. Chrome tab. Go. Is that it? Oh, okay. Hold on. I will show you. So here we go. Look at that. Tulsa officer. Click on this for a minute. Take a gander at this. Yeah, I know. He looks better in the suit. But I digress. He's accused of kicking his wife and hitting her with a bowl at their Owasso home. A Tulsa police sergeant was charged with misdemeanor. I believe that is misdemeanor. But whatever. Domestic assault with battery Wednesday on allegations that he kicked his wife and hit her with a bowl. Sergeant, and yes, he was a sergeant of the Tulsa police, so he not only basically betrayed his wife by doing this to her, but he betrayed the badge too. And God only knows what else he's done. I mean, I don't know what the statistics are, but I mean, what are the odds that this is the first or the last time he ever did that? I don't know. He may be a new person now, but I gotta tell you, this doesn't feel good. Oh, and he was freed about an hour and a half hour later. Half hour. How often has anybody gone into jail, even for like beginning to pay a parking ticket, and got out in a half hour? Man, I don't know. And $1,000 bond, which basically means he had to pay $100 to like a bail bondsman. So yeah, so $100 and he's out in half hour after, assaulting his wife. According to the charges filed Tuesday by the district attorney's office, Sherwood is accused of throwing a bowl at his wife and hitting her with it and kicking her in the leg. Kicking her in the leg. Take into consideration, mind you, that a kick from this guy would be like being kicked by a fucking horse. This dude can probably bench press twice my weight, if not more. He does these, or used to do these power team things where they can tear phone books in half and shit. So yeah, not fun. Oh, I'm sorry. There he goes. He's 6 foot tall, weighs 250 pounds, and he bench pressed 400 pounds. And of course, people's legs are usually stronger than their arms, so you can imagine that could have been one hell of a kid. And like I said, I don't even know if he's still that kind of person or not. He's been a Tulsa police officer since 1989. You'd think he would have known better than to do that. So I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know if I want a guy who is that big, that betrayed the badge, being governor. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a perfect person. I've not lived a perfect life, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend I have. If you Google me, it's pretty fucking boring. I Google him, and I found out he's been arrested for, like, assaulting his wife. He's a big dude. He's still a big dude. Like, he's, like, 56 now. But, my God, he's built like a tree. And he has fallen in, if not happily joined, a part of the Republican Party that seems to be kind of splintering off, and they consider regular Republicans to be no better than anybody else. They feel like their way is the only way. The GOP, unfortunately, is trying to live up to their reputation here, and it's getting worse. If you want to, let me see if I can type this name in. You guys can look him up. You should look him up on this guy on Facebook. Look up that name on Facebook and go look at some of the kind of posts he put. Now, these two, Mark Sherwood and this particular individual right here, who wants to replace Langford, honestly, sometimes there is no good guy, bad guy. Sometimes there's no good guy in a situation. The rumor has it that this particular individual is trying to almost start his own religion. He has his own church called the Sheraton Church. And Mark Sherwood is touring around with him a bit, to help him get seen. And some of the things that they say, and some of the things they let their followers say in their comments, if the law stepped aside, I strongly believe they would probably try to bring back the Salem witch trials. Now, I have no problem with people who go to church and do church stuff. That's cool. I have no problem. If you want to go to temple, mosque, church, I don't care. But when you start wanting religion to too much influence constitutional law, you have a slight issue. And for you, some of y'all may not have got a chance to hear one of the phone calls I got from one of Jackson Lahmeyer's followers. It started out as a disagreement about the death penalty. She admitted she saw my point of view, at least she understood why I felt the way I did. And by God, she could not stop herself. Oh, it had to continue. Even went into the realm of homophobia. Why? I guess why not, huh? I mean, she was already just acting crazy. Let's add to it. But yeah, I mean, Raquel heard it. Because I happened to be live streaming with everybody when that woman decided to call me. Yeah, she was going on about not liking the gays and they're evil and they're. I do believe she used the word abomination. I do believe that was quite clearly phrased, so everybody can hear it. And this is the kind of people that Jackson Lahmeyer and Mark Sherwood are trying to rally together. I'm very concerned by this. I think they're referred to as fundamentalists, which I never quite understood until recently. And I have seen them mention that other churches that don't think like they do are weak. I'm sure the other churches would love to hear that. But yes, basically, if you do not belong to their church and you do not believe exactly the way they do, you are a weak Christian. Your church is weak. And they have said as much. So, a lot of people might not be fond of the idea of voting for a Republican. But just because someone's voice is loud doesn't make them right. And right now, Sherwood's getting heard more than I am. It doesn't make him a good person. It doesn't make him right. It just means he's been able to jump on a bandwagon and is getting seen riding someone else's coattails. And the majority of his coattails, and he's basically riding the wagon of, hey, hating, Langford. And I'm not necessarily a fan of Langford, but basically the majority of what he's talking about is not wanting federal overreach, which I can agree with him on that. I can agree with him on that one. Because we need to handle our own shit. We should not be in a situation where we need federal overreach. We should be able to sort out our own house. And I have every intention of doing that. But I'm going to need people to retweet. Even if people are Democrat. Retweet me and the Democrat you like. Preferably Connie Johnson, because I think she's the most honest of the two on there, honestly. As far as Joy Huffmeister and Connie Johnson, I can tell you one's a lot more sus. And she's playing people. I mean, tomorrow they plan, around 4 o'clock, they plan on executing Julius Jones. And as far as I can tell, this is the most noise that Joy Huffmeister has made. It's the day before. Really? What good is that going to do? Where was that voice 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 months ago? Where was that? You know, didn't hear a hell of a lot about it. She keeps making these campaign ads of her driving around and talking about how much mileage she's going to put on it to go campaign to people. Honestly, it looks like a really great car commercial. Not gonna lie, it looks like a car commercial. And I should probably work on some kind of like campaign video, but I don't know if I know how. Like, I've had some ideas, but I'm worried that it might come across a bit much. So I don't know. I will try to vote from here somehow. No, we gotta be legit and legal about it. You have to be a resident in Oklahoma for 6 months, I believe, to be able to register to vote in Oklahoma. But nonetheless, y'all can still help by retweeting it and be like hashtag Oklahoma, hashtag Oklahoma City, you know, hashtag. I mean, you can try to make up a hashtag governor election, Oklahoma governor election 2022. You know, make up your own hashtag. I mean, whatever. You know, something like that. Mr. Hyde is a script doctor. That gets very confusing because I forgot that he was Mr. Hyde. I just put it all together right there. But hi, Dr. Script Doctor. How are you doing, darling? But yeah, so these are basically my concerns because I am the only Republican, and since I signed up with the Ethics Commission and registered with them, I'm not on the ballot. The ballot, to actually get on the ballot, apparently nobody's really on the ballot because that comes in April. And it's a 3-day window. And so, but I did register with the Ethics Commission, which is pretty much like halfway to being like official. So I'm pretty much, at least, you know, as far as signing up, I'm as official as the other candidates are at this point. Because, you know, they can't officially pay the ballot fee until April. So, I am the only Republican that is going to try to find some kind of common ground, try to have people focus. I mean, I understand if they have grievances and issues, and we're going to have differences, and I'm not going to sit here and tell everybody a bunch of lies and tell you what you want to hear. I'm not good at that. Some of these politicians, you would swear they were used car salesmen in prior life, because they're just, I don't have that smooth way of delivering things the way people want to hear them. But I'll be the most honest candidate, one of, because I think Natalie Bruno is pretty honest. I think she's pretty cool. So, but, you know. And I don't know much about Connie Johnson, so I don't have anything bad to say about her. But the ones I have pointed out to you, those have got, the idea of those two, like Joy Huffmeister, Stitt, or Sherwood getting through the primaries, makes me want to sell my house and run fast as I can to fucking Indian Ocean somewhere. They will make this state worse. But I'm hoping that whether people are independent or Democrat or Republican, the point is we need to edge out, at least before the primaries, we need to try to edge out the bad ones. People are given the feeling that they have to choose now. You only have to officially choose one at election time, and that's in November. Well, actually for primaries as well, at the election. But we need people who are more honest. And I'm not perfect, granted. but I'm less scary than Sherwood by far. I still believe that we shouldn't have government overreach. I still believe in people's constitutional rights. I do believe our constitutional rights are a two-way street. People like both sides want to argue, well, this is or this is, and no. Whether someone votes for me or not, like it would still be my job to look out for them and try to help them. And I can tell you that the other Republicans aren't the same. They want to pander only to their party and no one else, as though the others don't exist. Well, you can't run a state like that. A house divided cannot stand. And that's the truth of it. It almost doesn't matter who's in office, because if we keep the same kind of crap and allow the same kind of crap to continue, nothing is going to change. It won't matter at some point. It won't matter who you vote in. Because you'll make a good choice here, but a bad choice here, and then vice versa, and then one way or another, the shit just shuffles back and forth. And so, yeah. So for people who might watch this on Twitter, I mean, I'm not saying you can't like retweet for Connie Johnson as well or Natalie Bruno. I'm not saying that, but let the honest voices get heard and try our best to try to push away the bad voices. Stitt, Sherwood, Huffmeister, because they're playing. They are absolutely playing. And there's no way around it. I mean, even Republicans who are unhappy with, Democrats and Republicans are unhappy with the current governor. And I am worried of what kind of civil rights might be revoked or they might try to repeal in Oklahoma if someone like Sherwood gets in. If people are concerned that the police are not held properly accountable, if you're worried that domestic abuse is not being handled correctly, I get a kind of odd feeling that, having Sherwood as your governor is definitely not the fucking answer right there. That's for sure. So, you gotta watch out for the scary ones. Do your research on these people, seriously. Like I said, I'm not perfect. But if someone has a grievance with me, they can absolutely, I'll come and I'll try to express myself and explain myself the best I can. The rest of them, they're trying to hide their sneaky shit. But a lot of us are seeing it, but not enough of us are seeing it yet. And I'm afraid they may not see it till it's too late. So I don't end up talking everybody's ear off for the next God knows how long. I suppose I'll end the stream now, and I'll probably be looking out someone else's stream here in a little while. Might look a little less formal. But lots of hugs to everybody. And I'll end this, and then I guess I will tag folks. Because nobody's going to want to sit through like 2 or 3 hours of live streams. But I guess so. That's pretty much what I've got to say on that. I'll probably come up with some more stuff I won't talk about later. But let's try to keep it short for now. I'll probably talk about some of my plans and everything. People seem interested. I'm happy with the governor on both sides. I'm guessing he's a rhino. See, I hate the term rhino because it means Republican in name only. It doesn't necessarily make someone a bad person. The concept of rhino is what's causing a division. See, if a Republican is sticking to something they feel is constitutional, but this Republican wants to be more hardcore about it and interpret the Constitution a different way, he might accuse this person of being a rhino because he's not Republican hard enough. We should all be constitutionalists. And it says name only. One could argue that I'm more libertarian, perhaps. So they use rhino as basically like a political slur against someone who doesn't toe the line all the time. Sometimes towing the line, sometimes it's not a good line they're towing. You have to remember that. But anyways, lots of hugs to everybody. And